Has Durant played his final game with the Warriors?
I think so. Because I've got the Golden State Warriors losing this series. Now, obviously, I could be wrong, and Max is going to tell me why, and that's fine. I must admit, Max Kellerman, I'm just locked in. And what I mean by that is I'm locked in on what should happen as opposed to what may happen. You feel what I'm saying? I'm looking at Chris Paul, and I'm looking at James Harden, and I'm thinking about all the bloviating that has taken place over the last year by Houstonians, by Rocket fans everywhere, by yourself and others. Chris Paul goes down in Game 5 last year during the Western Conference Finals. Stephen A., if Chris Paul hadn't gone down, they would have won. I said they would have still lost. But there are many, many people, fair enough, who disagree with me, who swore up and down Chris Paul and the Rockets would have went to the NBA Finals and they would have won the chip because they would have beaten the Golden State Warriors. So we fast forward a year later, albeit recognizing that Chris Paul isn't the same player. That Father Time has sort of touched him just a little bit. But here's the bottom line. I still see a Chris Paul that can play. I still see a Chris Paul that is an elite point guard in terms of his decision-making and the ability to run a team. I still see a Chris Paul that can make a positive impact on this squad that has looked better at times with James Harden off the court. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from them on the court, but that's a different story for another day. And I'm thinking about the pressure. The fact of the matter is this. James Harden and Chris Paul have never been under more pressure in their careers than they are tonight. And if they win tonight, then they'll be for Game 7. For the Golden State Warriors, with Iguodala older, with Sean Livingston older, with their bench virtually depleted, with Boogie Cousins out, and now you've got Kevin Durant, clearly your best player, one of the top 2 players on the planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned, out for the rest of this series. It is the greatest opportunity Chris Paul and James Harden have had in Chris Paul's career and in James Harden's career with Houston. It is the greatest opportunity they have ever had to get to the finals. And you don't get it done, and you get paid $65 million as a starting backcourt, no one will ever let them. I'm not talking about Stephen A. here. The basketball world will never let them live it down. You got to show up, and you got to show out, especially tonight. My God, you lose the series, that's going to be bad enough. But if you lose Game 6 tonight with Kevin Durant being out, they will not get over it. Nobody will let it go. And as a result of that reality, Max, I am saying you can't lose. And that's where I'm coming from with it.
First of all, Kevin Durant is one of the 2 best players on earth. If you consider that the Freak and Kawhi are from Krypton or something, then I would agree that he's one of the 2 best players on earth. That was passionately and persuasively argued, Captain Smith. But allow Spock Kellerman to disabuse you of some notions. Let me allow. I'm not even going to do it myself.
Walk and talk.
I'm going to allow the immutable laws of math to make my point for me. According to BPI,
Stephen A.
Basketball Power Index. I know how much you like math, and so I'd like to reduce this sports conversation into math. BPI gives the Rockets, they say the Rockets are 61% likely to win tonight.
Right.
61. They say if they win tonight, 61% likely, they are 35% likely to win at Oracle. They give them a little better than a 3-to-1 chance, right? So equals 21% likely to win both games. That's a 1 in 5 shot, right? But let's say, as you so passionately argued, and I thought your passion was persuasive. Let's say you say Max.
It usually is, but go ahead.
Let's say you say Max. Let's be realistic about this. Forget BPI. They're talking about it now. If the Rockets force a Game 7, there is so much pressure on Steph and Clay and Draymond. They're not the same team. They've been beaten at Oracle in a Game 7 before, albeit by LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, but we've seen it before. It ain't no 35% chance. Let's get realistic. So still, you give them a 61% chance to win tonight. Let's say you say it's more like an 81% chance that they win in Game 7 at Oracle. All right, the Rockets win. That is still only 49%. Do you understand? They're still more likely than not to lose the series if they're if they're 5 times as likely to, they have a 5-to-1 shot to win, they're still more likely to lose the series. Even if they're huge favorites in both games.
May I ask a question, Max Kellerman?
Yes.
Spot Kellerman before
Yes,
you
please.
continue.
Yes.
Probability taken into consideration. Are there many teams throughout NBA history and throughout the history of sports that have debunked such things and still found a way to get it done despite the odds being stacked against them
They have.
from a numbers perspective? Is that true?
They have. They have.
So in other
The
words,
problem
even
is-
though you're giving me probability, and I'm
Yes.
saying to you, I'm not ignoring the probability. I'm not disputing the numbers. I'm saying to you, if there's anybody that should be in position to debunk that, it should be Chris Paul and James Harden in this particular situation. Are you denying that that's possible?
I would say that the pressure is on them. Stephen A. gets very sad when we do the math. Look, I would say this.
That's a good one, Max. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. I like
Yes.
that, Max. I like that.
I think you're rooting with your heart here, as opposed to think. I agree. I don't want to see James Harden and Chris Paul get beaten now. I don't want to see that story written, and these guys write their own stories, and they're doing it now. They have a tremendous uphill battle, but as Harden shown consistently, he did it a little bit this series, that he can be the man when they need him most. One shot in the last 10 minutes of the game.
I feel you on that, but you can say it's hard, but I don't look at it that way because it's not like I'm rooting against the Warriors. I love both teams. I got a lot of love for players on both teams, mad respect for them. I would love to see CP3 and James Harden win a title. I would love to see, PJ Tucker. I'm very fond of him. I'd love to see him win a title. But guess what? I also look at Steph Curry, who's great for the league. I look at Klay Thompson, who I think is one of the most underappreciated players.